Hello, everyone, and welcome to this live broadcast from Muck Academy. In just a few moments, we'll be discussing what to expect from the upcoming Fundamentals of Social Media course. In the meantime, just take a few moments to share this with your friends, family, colleagues, etc. We are super excited to show you what we have in store. Okay, I think we're ready to start.
Hi, Mike. How are you?
Hi,
How's
Mike.
it going? Yeah, do not worry. We have not hijacked Sri's Twitter. This is really so it's an opportunity for us to answer your burning questions, right, about this upcoming course. We have more than 3,500 seats saved so far. And so again, please consider your friends to do the same. mrac.com/social. Yep, we have it down there at the bottom as well. And so before we really dive in, I know we have folks who are registered from all over the world. So please, in the comments, let us know where you're watching from. We'd love to say hello. And before I suppose we really dive into the course, like the Muck audience knows who I am. I'm VP of Marketing at Muck and I've been working on Muck Academy. But Linda and Sri, you guys might be a little bit unfamiliar to the crowd. So if you guys could just give your really a brief overview about who you guys are and really your journey to social media.
Sure. First of all, thank you so much, Mike. We are delighted to do this. We are excited to partner with Muck, and I am honored to become an advisor to Muck. I've been a Muck fan, as you know, for many years, and also the Shorty Awards. And what you folks have built is just fantastic. I've learned so much from all of you at the Muck team and the Shorty team that I thought, well, we could have a chance to work together. It would be fantastic. So before we talk about the course, we do want to make sure everyone's tagging their friends right now. This is a free preview of a free course. So I don't know why we're needing to do this, but we are doing it so that we can share some of the fun that we're going to have, some of the things we're going to learn, some of the things that will help people make a decision, even in this very busy time of everything that's going on, that this is a course worth taking. So we'll talk about that. Let me give you a little bit about myself. I've been a professor of digital media since the fall of '96, which is a lifetime ago, as you can imagine. I mean, many of you can't imagine. Many of you were probably still in school or even younger than that. And we used to call it new media. And we used to do workshops called how to use the internet. We used to do how to use email. We used to have workshops on that. We used to have there would have been a Muck course on how to use email back in the day. And then we did a course called there's a new website you'll all be excited about called Google and how to use Google. So it's in that same spirit that the tech keeps changing, keeps getting better, and that's where this course fits in. But my own background, I've been a professor of journalism for about 25 years now, and a journalist for just a little longer than that. And I was the chief digital officer at Columbia University after being a professor at Columbia Journalism School for 20 years. And then I had the honor of being the chief digital officer of the Metropolitan Museum of Art, where I ran a digital team of 70 people and learned so much there about art and marketing and all of that good stuff. We were focused on the future of culture. And then we went from there. I was the chief digital officer of New York City. And in the course, you will realize that career sounds fabulous, and it has been, but it wasn't always kind of a escalator ride. It was kind of a roller coaster, and social media saved my life. And now 3 years, I've been running my own business called Digimentors. And one of my Digimentors is Linda Bernstein, and you'll meet her in just a second. And we've been teaching together from about 2011. And I've learned so much from her, and I know we've had lots of fun. And here we are. So that's my story.
So Mike asked the question, how did we come into social media? And my answer is through Sri. I started out as an academic. I have a PhD in English. I used to teach things like Middle English and Chaucer and stuff like that. And then I started being a writing career, and from that, I just sort of found myself morphed into magazine editing, which I did for a long time. And then at a certain point, I've always been very technically interested in, interested in tech. And I think I got it from my dad, who was a real techie and was actually along with being a chemist and a high school principal, was a licensed electrician and plumber. So I love things tech. And at that point, my kids were, like late high school, college, and Facebook was coming on. And so I was interested in Facebook. And then I thought, wait a second, there must be more to this. And there certainly was, because the Columbia University School of Journalism, which is SRI, was giving an adult continuing education course, what we used to call adult education, but it's continuing education, on social media. And I loved it. And I just really took to it. And I've been working with SRI on many teaching and consulting projects since 2011. And it's so much fun.
Fantastic. Yeah. So social media consulting since 2011, right, that's a huge swath, right? And so I guess let's just dive in, right? Like, I think the question that most folks have asked so far is, when is the course actually going to go live? We've said June. It's June. So I know, Sri, Linda, do either of you want to answer that?
Yeah, so we can. So first, we should say what we've learned so far. It's been an adventure. You think, okay, Muck has a lot of reach, so we know we'll get a few hundred people, and we were excited about that. Then we just saw the numbers roll in. Thousands of people have now signed up, and we realized that we were going to do the best course we could, but we had to keep pushing the quality of the project and each lesson and refining it. We had multiple people help us with that. Mike put in hours for every project, every element, every lesson. Linda worked very, very hard on that. And together, and we'll also give a shout out to everyone who helped us with this. But what we learned is that we need to make this as good as we possibly can, because so many people are relying on it. One of the comments I got was, I need this now for my work. And we're in an environment, Mike, where we have 34 million plus unemployed just in the United States. To be able to offer something like this that can help you upgrade your skills is very important to me, to Linda, and to your Muck team. And that's why we're doing this. And we decided to take a few extra days to just get it as good as we can, knowing, however, Mike, that the second you release something like this, things are going to change, and we want to make it as future-proof as possible. The buttons that we say might move around and change, but certainly the spirit and the ideas and the concepts will not change that quickly. And so I think we can announce that we're going to go live on Wednesday of next week. Today is Thursday, so next Wednesday we will be on the platform, and Mike will tell us a little bit more about the platform and how that works. And people have been confused if this is like a series of webinars, or is it more like Netflix where you can you can binge watch in one day. So Mike, why don't we go into some of those?
Absolutely. Yeah, and so the course is designed so that you can really take it at your own pace. That said, our previous course, Fundamentals Media Relations, which we released a couple of months ago, we've seen most folks binge it. Right? Personally, I think it's about as gripping as The Office, right? Or really anything else you might want to binge on Netflix. But we've still been a bit surprised just how quickly folks have really gone into the course. We've had over 5,000 now register for that one, and over 1,000 to complete that course. So really, it is designed to be a series of videos that you can watch at your pace. There are short quizzes at the end of each. We'll get in a little bit into actually what those lessons are. But it is really meant to be something that you can enjoy and something that you can use at your own pace without it being something where you need to show up at a certain place in a certain time in order to actually get the material. So we've taken just tons of different elements from what all of us have seen in terms of what someone needs really to know about social media to be a modern professional. And have really just done everything possible to distill that into something that is not, I suppose, bite-sized, but still meaningful and valuable. So the entire course should not take you more than a couple of hours to complete in total.
Yeah, I think we're still in the production phase of this, right? You're still fine-tuning and adding more graphics, and that's one of the things that I've been so impressed by. Linda and I have made many courses. We've taught all over the world. We've everywhere from Savannah to Dubai, but the amount of effort that's been put into the slides, our team, Shursti Heber, our fabulous designer, worked on it. You'll tell us about your team folks as well, who worked very hard on this. Linda, what did you learn putting this course together?
I mean, I learn every time I work with you, Sri, I always learn something, not just information, but I learn a lot about presentation and talking to people. So it's been a wonderful learning experience like that. But also I teach social media every semester. And a funny thing, the other day we were shooting for one of the lessons, and it was a slide we had looked at before, and Sri's on camera talking about the slide, and all of a sudden he goes, "Cut!" And he says, "Linda, is that true?" Because there was something I put in the slide, and I said, "Yeah," and he said, "I don't think so." So we're mad scrambling, or I'm mad scrambling, trying to find out if this is true, and it wasn't true. Sri was right, and now I keep on thinking, why did I even say that? It was, how did that even happen? So it's sort of, I'm learning a lot. I'm learning about these platforms that I teach every semester. So that's really wonderful.
Well, we should say that you've pointed out errors of mine all the time, and you get them right too. So, but the point is that even so-called experts need to keep learning and upping their game. And that's one of the reasons we've been putting this together, Mike.
Absolutely. And so I think we touched on it a little bit, but just how was this course produced? Like, from where? You mentioned that, right, we're still finishing up a couple of pieces, right? It's not the easiest time in history to produce an online course.
Right. We would have, and I know we're going to show a little bit of of the other course, the first one you did, and we want to follow in the other Mike's footsteps, Michael Smart. And he had the benefit of not being under pandemic when doing this. And so he was able to produce, I think, a world-class course. And you said 1,000 people have already gotten the certificate in their hands, which is, I think, very exciting. Ooh, what is that? Tell us about this, Mike.
Yes, so this was our first certification from Muck Academy. So Muck Academy wasn't really actually something that was live until about 2 months ago, which is hard to believe. So the first course was designed mainly for PR professionals or anyone who really wants to know how to thoughtfully engage with the media. Muck provides solutions for PR professionals to do more effective PR, but a lot of it boils down to softer skills that you can't really fix through lines of code. So that was our first course, and definitely been humbled and blown away by the reception. This social media course is very, I think, unique and interesting because it is truly for PR professionals, journalists, and everyone. With the previous course, we have seen journalists take the course and enjoy it. We have seen many folks not even in media or PR take it and enjoy it. And I imagine that will be even more true for this course, because just the fundamentals of social applied through so many different disciplines, trying to even think about distilling that right into 2 hours or so is a little bit mind-boggling. And so I guess I'm curious, just how do you go about figuring out who to make it for, right? Who truly is this course for, right? We say journalists, PR professionals, and everyone, but what does that really mean?
Good question. So what I'd like to do is just to go back to that slide of everyone who's got, or some of the people who got a certificate, so that we could just see those, first of all, those smiling faces, and pull that up so that people can see that what we're offering, right? So people do get they don't get a physical certificate, they get a signed cert that says you've completed the course. And to complete it, you actually have quizzes and all of that you have to do to get this course. So 1,000+ people have added a line to their LinkedIn bio, right? Like that's one of the things that's pretty cool about this. And so in terms of who we built this course for, we built it in part for those folks, people who are wanting to learn things at this moment. There's so much going on in the world. At the start of this entire pandemic 3 months ago, I launched Social Media Weekend with Linda and others, which was the first course or first social media and maybe even other conference not to cancel in the middle of everything. We had 10 days to go online, and we did that. And in my keynote there, I said, please, everyone, during this pandemic, work on something. Work on something. Even if you're working full-time from home, you have a little bit more time than you did. And then, of course, so many of us are unemployed and have lost the chance to make money. So please work on something. And we suggested to add to your skill set, add to your knowledge, pick different things. I worked on how to use YouTube better, and I started a daily show talking about the pandemic in different ways that you can find on my YouTube, my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Sreenet, SREENET. I also learned how to do Canva and other things. And that smile you see on those people who finish the course those are the people that we're trying to get. The folks who understand that this is their moment to learn something, up their skills, and just have another line on your LinkedIn. I tell my students and I tell my friends every few months, you should see what can I add to my LinkedIn without quitting my job and trying something new entirely, but just work on something and do it. And that's how we built our fundamentals course. So let's remind everyone that the fundamentals course goes live next week. And what you're seeing on the screen here is mrac.co/social. Most people watching this video now have already signed up, and Mike will explain how you'll be able to log on next week and how it all starts. But I just want to remind you that we have room. We've had 3,500 people sign up, but there is almost unlimited number of people who can. Someone in your life would benefit from this. Please tag them. We're live on my Twitter, my LinkedIn, my YouTube, my Facebook. Please share. We're also on Muckrac's Twitter feed. So please tag this, please retweet it, and please share and say free class, free certification class. This is not a webinar. And that's what we wanted to do. And what we did was working with Mike remotely. We're in 3-4 parts of the United States, or at least the Northeast United States. Linda and I worked on what are the concepts we need to work on. And then Linda built some slides, and then we had our designer Shrishti work on them. And then Mike would look at everything and give us great feedback, very direct, very useful, very important feedback. And then Mike's designer went through it all. And then we did multiple shoots, me sitting in this apartment. By the way, Mike, I got kicked out of my apartment by my wife and kids because of all the video conferences and Zoom calls and live streaming I'm doing. So we borrowed a friend's house in the same building, and so I'm here. And Linda is where she is in upstate, and you're where you are. And we brought in our friend, Stefan Kaplan, who is on our team, and he helped direct the show and produce this in a way. He's doing it right now. Hi, Stefan. He was able to record it remotely using StreamYard, using QuickTime Player, and then your team is able to put it all together and make some magic.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, and to just give a quick shout out to our designer, Katie Spofford, to everyone on the Muckrack team who has been working on this behind the scenes, Justin, Emma, Lindsay, Josh, and of course our video editor, Victor. So to just, I suppose, dive into like a bit of the materials in the course itself, what platforms actually do we cover right in this? And how do you choose like which platforms to cover?
Yeah, so I'm going to describe what we were faced with, and then Linda is going to tell us the story of the 4 platforms we chose and also how the course is laid out. And before that, one of the things I do on my show is our world tour of who's watching from everywhere. So let's do that. I'm just going to show you a few people. Joanne says 3,500 people. Mehmet's watching from Turkey. West Orange, New Jersey in the house from Maria. Parek says hi. Center Reach, Long Island. Ashok is watching from India. Joanne's watching from Hudson Valley. Anand's watching from India. Nitin's watching from the town where the Dalai Lama lives. And shout out to him. We are glad to be here. Ashok is looking for the link, so let's give him that link again, Mike, so that he can sign up for the free course.
Absolutely.
And it's mrac.co/social. Let's see. Ariel is here, and he says, hello from the traditional land stolen from the Lenape people, also known as New York City, and acknowledging at this time, with everything else, not just the pandemic, the protests and everything that's been happening, I think there's more sensitivity about some of the injustices of the past. And we woke up this morning to headlines that I never thought I'd see. NASCAR to ban Confederate flags. I think that's the kind of headline that you don't expect. And you're seeing that. You saw HBO Max pull off Gone with the Wind and say they'll put it back, but under, with some historical context, things like that. Christy's watching from Toronto. Devin's in the US. Marilyn says hello from Staten Island. Our friend Farhana is watching from Rio Rancho, New Mexico. Just so many people all over the world. Roberta's watching from Richmond, Virginia. We're really happy to have all of you here. If you aren't getting the link right, it's academy.muckrack.com. You can sign up for both courses, right, Mike? You can go in and sign up for both. Just go to academy.muckrack.com or mrac.co/social. Larry's watching from Phoenix and Kathy from San Antonio. This is really cool. Kundan's here as well. And Lauren's here, counting down the days to your class. And the days are less than a week. So over to you, Linda. We were faced with 13, 14 social media networks, and we decided to pick 4. And how did we arrive at the 4, and why did we arrive at the 4?
Well, I think in a way, these are really right now the big 4 for a lot of the world, and not that they all have 2.6 billion monthly users as Facebook does, but we wanted to start with platforms that we thought that people would find most useful. And so we decided to start with the first platform in the first lesson on social media platforms will be about Twitter. And because Twitter is so important in the conversation now, and especially in the conversation during the past several months with the pandemic and everything that's happening politically in the US and then also spreading to other parts of the world. And Twitter really has become a place where people go to listen and also to have their voice heard. And then we decided that, well, Instagram is huge, and Instagram is part of Facebook. It's owned by Facebook. And I know that most people, all my students, it used to be 4 years ago, I would start out a semester and my students would not be on Instagram. So the first thing I would say is download Instagram. Now I start out my class and some of my students already have 18,000, 25,000 Instagram followers. So it's a really big platform. It's a popular platform. It's an easy to use, enticing platform because you can share your life on it and photos. So we figured that it'd be really important that people have best practices on Instagram. Not that they just have it on their phone and that they're constantly posting, but they have best practices. We also chose Facebook because Facebook is the big daddy of us all. It's the one with 2.6 billion users. And then Sri really wisely decided that we really should cover LinkedIn too, because it's something that's so good for us as we are tracking our careers through the years. And it's a wonderful platform. Also, it's a discussion platform. You can talk to people on it and you can share things. So those were the 4 we chose.
Well, thank you for your counsel throughout that process. There are, of course, other platforms that are really big now. And the hottest of all the platforms, as we know, Mike, is TikTok. That's what everyone's talking about. And we figured that TikTok is where Instagram was in maybe 2013, 2014, and that we don't, in this course, where we're trying to get the fundamentals right, that TikTok is really maybe another course for another time or another platform we could talk about later, but we wanted to focus on these four and to also meet your requirements of having about 2 hours worth of content that people can binge watch in a couple of days or spend over months. They have a choice on doing that, don't they? I just want to show you that among the people we saw in the comments, we had people from Staten Island, right next to the Sudan, next to LA, next to India. Like, this shows you the global reach of Muck, and I'm so excited about this, Mike.
Yeah, we couldn't be more excited either. And so I guess I was wondering, is there anything we can share today? Right, I know we're still finalizing a few different odds and ends. Not to put you guys on the spot, but what do you think?
Well, I think that we can, I mean, whatever you'd like to share and talk about, we can, but I think that this is not to tease anybody or anything like that. What we, I think in the course, you're going to get multiple things that that we will be doing that you haven't seen before. One of those is that we, working with Muck and the team there, you had a great research team. We wanted to build the definitive, for now, constantly updated list of the social media networks. What are about the dozen or so networks that everybody needs to see and understand and know about? You don't have to learn all of them, but you have to be familiar with them. What are the words that you need to know? What are the names? What are the concepts behind them? And throughout the course, we're going to talk about them. And so that's going to be one of the things we're teasing to next week so that you can all see it. We're going to be unveiling that whenever Mike is ready. And in fact, here it is.
Here it is. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. So people are going to take a screenshot of this and share it all over the world. I know this is very exciting and very, very cool. So let's first say what it is. So before people go, also, Mike, everyone's going to fact check this, right? Like, so that's what happens when you put something into the wild. So let's talk about why we came up with this, how we came up with this, and everyone watching, take a screenshot and share it and link to our course, Muckrack, academy.muckrack.com, or mrack.co/social. And Mike, why don't you talk about this? And I even love the name, the Buzzin' Dozen.
Yeah, and if you do count them, there aren't exactly a dozen, but we're pretty close, right? It's about a baker's dozen, as some of us call it. So, yeah, we were a little bit surprised in researching around and just trying to figure out the different top networks in the world that there aren't too many places that you can go just to get a good, simple idea of monthly active users. And so all that we did was very simple, was that for the majority of them, many of these are public companies, and you can look and find really, like, as of at least their most recent earnings or any other investor communications, really how they're doing in terms of growth. For a few of them, so particularly like Snapchat is one that comes to mind, they tend to publish daily active users, not monthly active users. And so for that, we actually went into the self-service ad platforms that they have. And if you just look at the reach that the platform has, that ends up being about the same, right? The reach over the course of a month in terms of users is the monthly active users. So this is something that we will continue to update. Really, of course, the platforms themselves move very, very quickly. And so interested, as was just to see how this does change over time, right? This is something that if we're doing our jobs well, won't look the same, and it'll look a little bit different, right? In even just a month or two.
And so let's look at that again. I just want to pull that up and just show everyone how exciting it is to have a slide that has been backed by research. There's been a lot of talk about misinformation, disinformation, Mike, and having this like this for Linda and myself, we are always scrambling to find data, and we load up stuff on our presentations. Faculty do this all the time, right? You find something on the internet and you throw it together. But here, you have committed, Mike, and Muckrack is committed to keeping this updated, at least for a while, and this will be something you own, and you're giving to the world as a useful infographic that we can have. Linda, I'm curious about your thoughts and how you felt as you worked on this, because you helped conceptualize this too.
Yeah, I was so frustrated when we started out making the content for the course because I couldn't find a really good chart. And I thought, there have in the past been charts, but a lot of those charts were 5 years old, and the social media landscape has certainly changed since then, more than 5 years. So it was frustrating also trying to hit what the number of monthly users is, because as Mike said, sometimes you just get the daily users, and that isn't the same as the monthly users, and it really isn't as accurate because it can either be way high or way low, because maybe it's a bad day for the platform. So we were so excited when Muck said that they would do this, and it looks gorgeous. It looks really, really good. I love the way that all of the social platform icons are there, so we can immediately tell what they are on the left-hand side. I love the bar graph that we can really see the difference between, at the bottom, 367 million, what that looks like compared to 2.6 billion for Facebook. So I think that this gives us a real feel for this, as well as being really nice to look at. And also, we are just so thrilled and excited as educators who are continually talking about social media that Muck has committed to, for a while at least, just keeping up with these numbers, because it's going to be also really interesting to watch what happens here. Will TikTok surpass Instagram? Are we watching that happen right now? Wait, will Messenger surpass TikTok? So it's like we're watching one of those races that they show you in between with the cars, in between innings, like Yankee Stadium or something like that. It's really great. It's a lot of fun.
And we should point out, this, looking again at that TikTok number, TikTok is the fastest of the platforms to 1 billion of all the major platforms. And that tells you something also about the time and where we are in the world, and how all over the world people are getting access to technology and able to do things. By the way, Mike, when I joined TikTok, my children were horrified, and they said, Dad, we don't want you to be another dad on TikTok. And I said, Will Smith is a dad. He's on TikTok. And they said, you're no Will Smith, Dad. In my place. A great chart. Here's some of the results coming in, or feedback coming in. Folks, please tag Muck on that, and the hashtag we're using for the course, MRA Social, one word, Muck Academy Social. Please use that hashtag. We want to get that out there, and tell your friends to join the course. Already, for those of you who signed up, the 3,500 who signed up, you already benefited from a chart that has been unveiled for the first time in the world, and you've seen that, and we're going to make that really buzzin' all over the world, and I'm very, very excited about that. Shall we check out some of the questions, Mike?
Yeah, I think that would be great.
Share tips on using social media efficiently so that you can maximize its use without spending too much time on social media. So one of the things that we've talked about is that in this course, it is not a webinar, right? This is not meant to be where I teach and then people ask me questions, I give them responses. There's not that kind of course, and Mike can explain why we chose the kind of binge watching Q&A method rather than a series of live webinars, and he'll explain that. But from my point of view, we wanted to focus on what are the features of the platforms, making sure everybody has checked off what is the current state of the platforms. And then there are questions about that, and our cat has just joined us, Mike. That's great.
Yes, a little character from Poppy.
What's the name?
Poppy.
Poppy. And of course, cats rule the internet, so Poppy
it is true.
With us to be right. My dog Tara, who's on Instagram, by the way, the.kara is upstairs with the rest of the family. What we are doing is focusing on the features of each of the channels, and then there's a quiz for each of those and all of that. Mike has made it possible, and by the way, we didn't acknowledge this properly. It was not clear that Muck gave us the resources to be able to pull this whole thing together, to make it free to the world. We could have easily charged for this. I encouraged them to think about charging, and they said, no, at this moment, at this time, we should definitely be giving this away. And that's why I'm so proud to work with Muck on this project. And so We've also committed, Mike, to doing maybe a couple of weeks out a true, the students have all taken the class. Now the professors walk in, and now you can ask them anything, throw things at us. And that's where some of those more strategy-oriented things we can cover. But we wanted this to be a certification so that people can add it to their resume, but also someone is comfortable hiring you, knowing you know the fundamentals. It's not the advanced. This is the fundamentals on all 4 of those platforms. You have them, and that's what you're seeing there. The website is mrac.co/social, everybody. And there's the hashtag MRA social. We want everybody to sign up for this. We want to break that 4,000, 5,000 mark. We have another week, but actually we don't. We have more than that, right, Mike? People can keep signing up because Absolutely. It is a binge watch type of thing. Talk about how you decided not, like, we could have done this as, frankly, it'd be much cheaper for you if you just done a series of Zoom calls.
Yep. Yeah, so there just are too many Zoom calls and too many webinars. There are some great webinars out there. There are a lot of, especially from businesses, there are a lot of not so great webinars out there. And I think just the idea of needing to force everything into like a webinar format has just so oftentimes been the standard, especially for business to business, is just something that will not continue to work in the same way unless if you're able to continue to provide value. And so being able to create Muck Academy, being able to invest in some technology to actually allow us to serve content in a much more interactive, engaging way is really just our answer to webinar overload and to just kind of what we're seeing from just, I think, both of the PR and journalism industries in many cases, where there's no shortage of different types of opportunities out there, but there is a shortage of high quality, free content like this, right? That you really are able to just dive in, take it at your own pace, or binge it if you like, and then have an industry recognized credential that you can use to boost your career.
There you go. Achyut is watching in India, and he's already tweeted this out.
There we go.
Amazing numbers. And maybe he's got a better hashtag for this, and he's got the Buzz and Dozen going there as well.
Yeah, love it.
And we're there. And folks, don't forget to follow Linda as well on Twitter. She's Linda Bernstein at Word Whacker. She's a whacker of words. So please follow her. And also on our team is Stefan Kaplan, who's at Spin It Social, and he's directing all of this that you're seeing on screen. Even this is not a webinar, right? There's not your regular Zoom call. We wanted to be interactive, and we want to bring in those comments. So let's bring in some of those comments as well as we go on here. Let's take a look. Veronica says hello from Boulder, Colorado. Hello, Boulder. Mehmet's watching from Turkey. We said hello before. What's the hashtag? MRA Social. Very good. Let's keep going. So many comments coming in, and we're very grateful. Is it June 17th? That's right, Wednesday. And now, Mike, we can't get away with just saying Wednesday. We've got to say what time.
Yes.
Right? Is it East Coast time, West Coast time? I learned this from trying to watch Orange is the New Black. Do you remember when they used to drop the episode? Mm-hmm. And it was dropped at midnight in California. So it would be 3 a.m. in the U.S. and the East Coast of the U.S. So if you wanted to watch a show, I can't remember how much I loved watching the first, like binging as soon as it came. And now I don't think I even saw the last season. That tells you also how things change so quickly, right? So what time are you going to launch it?
So we'll be launching it at 11 a.m. Eastern. So that will be, of course, for folks in the Pacific, right, 8 a.m.
Yep.
And if it's anything like, as was the last course, a lot of you will be taking it right away. Many of you might even be taking it over the weekend, which we don't judge. We think it's a lot of fun. And so, right, really, it's this will be the start of being able to take this course and access these materials. There will be, as Sri mentioned, likely more to come. We could easily do a course on just TikTok. And so really excited, right, that we are able to sort of start this platform here during a time where I think the industry, really all industries, right, could use like just a bit of help in terms of how to best navigate social. So
Go ahead.
I'm seeing a couple of comments in here that I find to be pretty interesting, and I really had the same reaction around how Twitter is like a little bit low, right? And LinkedIn is a little bit lower in the buzz and dozen than one would expect. And so I had the same reaction, right, when we chose the courses of the different networks before making the buzz and dozen. So it just does go to show that like number of users and I suppose impact and sort of type of use case aren't really a one-to-one. It's a very kind of complex, right, sort of series of trade-offs to just figuring out where to focus. A couple of you have, I believe, suggested sort of like WhatsApp and others, right? Again, I think direct messaging itself, so Messenger and WhatsApp and Wechat and others, right, could again be another huge course. So
I would love to have people learn. By the way, Americans are not big WhatsApp users unless they worked overseas, have relatives overseas, do a lot of travel. Americans don't use WhatsApp the way everybody else in the world does. And this is the first time I think we've seen WhatsApp on a list like this and put it together. And we're not saying this is perfect, right, Mike? We'll
right.
adapt this, we'll keep fixing it. But there's a lesson here, everybody, that look how low Twitter is. And the reason it punches above its weight is because the US president is on it, because sports stars, celebrities, controversy, all of that. The journalists are on Twitter, and that's why they talk about Twitter all the time. I'm on Twitter, that's why I talk about Twitter. But the lesson here is also, it's kind of a sad lesson, that you could have 300 million something users and be considered like on the lower end of something, that you aren't growing. That's one of the complaints about Twitter, is that it doesn't have the same growth patterns as Facebook or TikTok or anything like this. And I say it doesn't matter. You should be happy with 300 million users. We've also seen Wall Street react badly. One of the platforms said they're going to get rid of some of the misinformation, and their stock price fell. And that tells you that Wall Street is not a good judge of this, and sometimes journalists are not either. And Takiata says, hello. Maria says, what is the level of expertise we expect to have from this course? Great question. And this is one of the tough things about this, right? Like, you can imagine that there are people you know who are 11 years old who know more about social than I do. There are people who are of different ages, different backgrounds, have been in social for so many years, but they're really good at one type of social and not the other. So what we've tried to say is, what is the baseline that after this course so that, for example, we're not saying that the person who takes this can go in and automatically become a social media manager, but one of the ways that you can prove that you're in line to be a social media manager is to say, I've got this certification. So I, as the boss, I don't need to then double check, do you know all of these things, right? LinkedIn has offered a very good certification process, what they call quizzes for their skills. So Excel, for example, or Microsoft, some of those tools, you can show, and they give you a test on it. So we're not just going through the test, we're giving you that information as well. And that's what makes it a course rather than just a certification test. We could have just done that too, but we wanted to create the content to go with that. And I know it's not a satisfactory answer. People have been pestering me saying, what is the level? What is the level? I can tell you there are people who are terrific at LinkedIn who are terrible at Twitter. People terrible at Twitter, terrific at Twitter who are bad at Instagram. We want to bring them all up to about the same level, and that's how we're thinking. Linda, you were living and breathing this for a couple of months now. How have you thought about it?
Yeah, what's really interesting, I wanted to bring this up too, is this is not the first time Sri and I have talked about a certification course. And so when an organization with the gravitas and reputation of Muck came to Sri and said, will you do a certification course? It was sort of like, yeah, wow, this is what people need. People need this for their LinkedIn. And people also need this for just to make sure, as Sri just said, they sort of level up on all their social media platforms. We can't all be the best on everything, but we can be good on a number of platforms, and we can be better on a number of platforms. And I think that's one thing that this course really reinforces. It starts with some basic principles that apply across the platforms, even to platforms we're not using, even to platforms we're not covering in the certification course. And I think that there's a lot of material for people, no matter what you think your level is. If you are a huge Instagram user, well, you'll have fun with the Instagram section and go through it maybe a little bit more quickly. But all in all, I think there's information for everybody.
Let's look at some of the comments. Thank you. Jen Lin Lu says, WeChat has been fundamental for my restaurant cooking school in China. Absolutely. Wow. Americans certainly aren't using, if they're not using WhatsApp, they're not using WeChat. But I have a WeChat account that was created when I was at the Met, because we put the Met on WeChat. And I can give this as an example, Mike, to the people listening, that you have to have an awareness of where things are on that platform list and what makes sense for you as a business, as an individual to use. This was back in the early days of when I was at the Met around 2013, 14. I remember Tumblr was all the rage. Tumblr was bigger than Instagram and huge platform. And everybody said, you're an art museum, you have to be on Tumblr. And I said, we don't have any more room. We had a 2-person social media team. We were killing it on all these platforms, but we don't have room for another one. And if we add another one, we want it to be something that reaches our largest in-person international audience members, and that's folks from China. And so we were waiting. We did Weibo, which is also a huge platform, and then we did WeChat. Let's pull up the chart again so we can see the numbers and see how all of this fits in. And you're seeing where WeChat is, you're seeing where Weibo is, and the founder of Tencent, which is the parent company of WeChat, sat next to me and said, you need a WeChat account now, young man. And that was great. He was younger than me, but Daniel forced me into creating a WeChat account, which I'm so glad I did. And the point is that it's sort of like Steve Jobs telling you, I have an iPhone here, I want you to try it. What are you going to say, no? So I have now a WeChat account that I use minimally, but when my son, who is obsessed with China and learning Mandarin, when he was in China, we were able to communicate so much easier because of WeChat. And let's get some of the other comments in here as well. Oh my God, Tumblr, says Courtney. She may have tumbled out of her chair listening to that. Because of the US president uses Twitter, I say stay away. Isn't that it? Mike, what do you think of that reaction, right? Like maybe because there's all the buzz, you should get away from it, rather than some of us who are in marketing are like, yes, and some people are like, no.
Right. Yeah, I think it's definitely harder than ever in many respects to, I think, sort of the trade-offs that you go through in figuring out which networks are right for you, right? Both in terms of publishing, but especially in terms of consuming. And so, hopefully sort of through this course and hopefully just through, I suppose, applying this course plus an understanding of your audience, right, you can really figure out where it does make sense. Right, in the case of Muck, right, we one of our main audiences are the NPR pros. The main audience is journalists. Journalists are pretty much all on Twitter. We definitely don't love everything that's said on Twitter, but at the same point, it's important to be sort of in some way in the arena and to be sort of like aware of what's happening. But yeah, we could probably again, I feel like we're just listing off other potential courses, but how to filter social media to not depress you while still using the networks is yet again like another pretty huge topic. It's always a bit of a moving target, I think, as well.
And I want to also acknowledge that we do this course, we lock it in and we send it out in the world, and there are going to be people who pick it apart, and there'll be things we missed. That's all on me. So these lovely people are not the reason. Anything that you find that's not up to what you're expecting, that's on me. But that's also the difference between having something where there's that give and take and not kind of sealed. And this is a kind of sealed course for the moment. Doesn't mean that a year from now, we couldn't go in and update things, and Twitter changes its something completely. We couldn't change it. But for now, we believe that we've achieved something that's really high quality and good enough for what we're trying to do at the moment. And we're just kind of gingerly let it into the world and then see what happens.
Right, absolutely. And I have to say, from especially just the framing of the course, right? Just to reiterate, it really has been designed in such a way that even if Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn or Instagram move around some buttons, you still are going to really get the fundamentals and the principles that you need. If anything, you'll be able to really hop on those changes faster than others. So touching a little bit on what you're saying before, Sri, in terms of just figuring out which channels, right, for someone. I gave just a couple of thoughts in terms of audience, but I was wondering if either of you, for someone who's just really early in their social media journey, either as an individual or as a brand, what is sort of the short process, right? Or what should someone keep in mind with just figuring out where to start? Do you start all of them at once? Do you just try them sequentially? And if a tweet you don't like pops up, you go over to Facebook? How should folks handle that?
And then you're horrified there, and then you go to another one.
Right, yeah, exactly. You just go down the dozen. Yeah.
Right.
Linda, I'll let you tackle that, please.
Well, I think that what this course, for people who really are not yet using social media or haven't been using it for a new business they are in, I think that this course adds a good sampling. And Sri has always said, be an early experimenter and then wait until you adopt. Try something out first. And so it might be that you end up being a heavy user of all these four, or it might be that it turns out that you have a bakery and Instagram really is the platform that is going to best show your products. It really depends on how it works for you, what you use the most. And we really hope that from what we have here in this course, we're going to be able to give you enough information that's going to help you. If you're at the beginning, it's going to help you decide where to stay.
And that's a good way of thinking about it. And this is where Linda and I, what we say and share, we forget who said it first because we've been saying it and teaching it for so long. I should also say that one of the things that one of the founders of Twitter said is that he's surprised how successful Twitter has been, considering how difficult it is to use. And that's certainly true when he started and true today. If it was any easier, people wouldn't need this course and I wouldn't have a consulting business. So I am grateful for some of that, but of course we want it to be as easy for people to understand. We want people to use these platforms. And I think the reason Twitter isn't where you're seeing the other platforms is that it's been around that 300. Let's look at that number again. It's down in the 300s. Again, fantastic number, but for a long time, because of all the drama that's there, because of all the pain that you see on there. And I think they've been doing a lot of very good work on all the platforms to try and, but Twitter has been in the leadership position now. And I think that will help change it somewhat as it goes forward. When I was at the Met, we put our Met director and CEO, Tom Campbell, on Instagram instead of Twitter. And everybody said, Sri, you're Mr. Twitter. Why isn't he on Twitter? And I said, there's less drama on Instagram. And I don't know if that's quite true anymore, but certainly because there's just not, the big difference, we just learned this again this week. You've got something you want to spread. It's much easier to spread good and bad on Twitter and Facebook because they have that reshare, share, retweet. That concept is built in. Instagram, as you know, you have to really work at it if you want to share something. And that's, I think, interesting. But a big shout out to Instagram for one thing that they have done, I think, very important. They depressurize it a little bit by removing the likes as something everybody can see. That's still going on. I know Linda still can see other people's likes. Lots of people can still see it. But at least that's the first step in reducing the pressure around social. Why did you choose Twitter for the intro session? So you mean, I think she's talking about share, or why do we put it on Twitter, this particular preview? Twitter is also our first it's actually our first platform, but not the first lesson, as you will see. The reason we are putting this on Twitter, we're actually live on Twitter, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on YouTube. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Sreenet. And there we have successfully, I think, given different people on different platforms a chance to watch this and participate. It's pretty sad. Everyone's asking me for Instagram Live, but Instagram Live doesn't allow you to multi-stream into it. You have to natively stream, on a vertical setting and all that. So it's much harder. And that's why we're not doing that. But Courtney says she's excited about the course. And Courtney is an example, I should tell everybody, tech leader. She was part of the early Silicon Alley scene here, helped change it, shape it, define it. And then she moved to Paris and had a whole other career and is doing great comms work. And she didn't have time to, as she showed me on one of my shows. Her own website looks, from where it's been. So she's not as social in some platforms. Other ways, she's super social. And so she can benefit from this course, as can I have benefited from this course, I can tell you, working with Linda, working with Mike, working with Mike's team, working with Stefan, all of those people to put this together. So many questions are coming in, and Courtney says, yes, a museum can benefit from the graphic interface aspect of Instagram more than Twitter, but Twitter, of course, has a lot of photography and video as well on there. So I think we're running out of time. We could just keep going, Mike, but I'll leave it to you to just think of how we end this. Otherwise, people just keep asking questions, which is great.
Yeah, we could go on for a while. Yeah, so definitely excited to do another one of these once the course is live next week.
Yeah, because if we suggested doing one before the course, I think people would kill us. If we said we'd go live again without the course,
right, exactly.
They would come for you, Mike, wherever you are.
Yeah, no more teasing after this.
Yeah, exactly.
Really promise. So, I think really, the only thing left to say again is please do encourage your friends, to check out this course, mrack.com, mrack.com/social. .co. Yes, .co. Or academy.muckrack.com. We have all the co's and the comms. Ultimately, expect to see something, by sort of midday on Wednesday.
Midday Eastern on Wednesday.
Midday Eastern on Wednesday. Wonderful to see all of this support. Like, we are at least as excited, I think, as everyone, and agree, Sri, your hairstyle does look great.
There's no style. That's the style. There's no style. I just want to point out that Arun's in Sri Lanka, and just above him here is Clara watching from Italy, and brings back memory to 2011, ready to learn and brush up my skills. One never stops learning. One of my hashtags, #always be learning, and you're doing that. And so I just wanted to tell everyone that I also have a way in which you can continue to learn with me on our social media group. We have a closed Facebook group. If you're using Facebook, it's called Sri's Advanced Social. And by the way, you can see my password right on the screen. If you can decipher it, there's my password. But just go onto Facebook and search Sri's Advanced Social. Sri's Advanced Social. It's a group of about 10,000 people around the world who learn and share, and it's been so helpful to me. And it's great, not because of me, but because of the community. And that's what you're doing, Mike, building this Muckrack Academy community. And on the screen, there's me in the front, there's Linda. Right behind me is, let's see if we can get a little closer at least, is Craig Newmark, Craig from Craigslist. There he is in the shot. You also see Ali Velchi. This is from a previous social media weekend. And folks, I can't wait for us to be in this situation where we're all crowded together in a room and learning together. Until then, we have Facebook groups, we have webinars, and we have this course. So again, if you'd like to sign up for that course, just go to search up my name, Sri'(S) Advanced Social. We'd love for you to join. Mike's there, Linda's there, and we all share, talk, learn. And as with all good platforms, right, we want you to listen more than you talk. What I'm doing is the wrong thing, too much talking. These guys should have talked more, but I'm so grateful to all of you for being here, watching it with us. And Linda, I can't thank you enough. You're an example of someone who walked into my life as a student, and then you became a colleague, became a teacher, and we worked so many things together all over the world. And Mike, we've met only in the last few months, but to see the level of professionalism at Muck and what the work they do, and they're constantly thinking about their clients and their customers at the highest level, I think is so good. And please say hello to our friends, Greg Gallant at Gregory and Lee Semmel, the co-founders of Muck and the Shorty Awards at Semmel, SEMEL, and to all our friends there. When do you guys get back in the office?
So we are a remote first company and have been for over 10 years. And so while we miss our office space quite a bit down in Soho, we're not rushing back. So for the time being, it really, for us, as much as it can be, right, is to some degree business as usual, but very much, super, super excited to be able to have some sort of like Muck Academy reception once we're all back on the roof.
Oh, that'll be exciting. And of course, not everybody will be able to come, even if it was perfect.
Even if it was perfect, but we will, find a way. The world tour can continue at some point.
That's right. And as you folks know, for my social media, in 1 year, we taught in 16 countries and 50, 60 cities. And so I love those kinds of classes, but there's something special about this as well. Everything has its pros and cons, but the fact that we're able to do this and connect all these people from around the world. We hope you all get to meet each other online at some of the community stuff we do online so that you can connect and show off your Muck Academy credentials on LinkedIn and elsewhere as well. So I think that's important. And you want everybody to take a photo once they've got the certificate, right? So they can see it. We want you to do this, right? academy.muckrack.com, everyone. academy.muckrack.com. Sign up and share this. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool as well. So thank you so much, everyone. As you have any other questions, the line is open at academy@muckrack.com as well, or feel free to reach out to any of us, and we'd love to chat.
Yes. Thank you, Mike, for doing all this, and thank you, Sri and Mike and Gregory for the conception of this. It's just, as I said before, it's just so amazing to be able to finally to bring a certification course so easily to people who want this, and I'm looking forward to this. Thank you.
And 3,500 people, we want to get that to 4,000 and more. So please tell your friends, please share this, mrac.co/social. And I also want to say that I'm not wearing my Muck t-shirt, so we have a couple of weeks to get. I have a Muck mug, so at least when we do the gathering, let's remind everyone, the plan is in a couple of weeks, we'll have a debrief and an open Q&A, kind of a group office hours. Linda and I and Mike will be back, and you'll be able to ask us a whole bunch of questions about the course, specific things we didn't cover, ideas for future classes, all of that we can do as well. And by the way, I got a question the other day. What is Muck?
What is Muck? So Muck produces solutions for PR professionals and journalists. First founded as a solution for journalists, who really are our number one clients first and foremost. We produce just a variety of tools and really through software, try to make journalists and PR professionals and PR teams more efficient. And then, of course, also produce a daily newsletter, the Muck Daily, which you can sign up for at muckrack.com/daily, and are just looking for other ways, right, to help really both sides of the media relations equation through content, through technology.
Awesome. And where did the name come from?
I believe, so of course, Muck is from the term muckraker, right? So really investigative journalists in the early 20th century. I believe rack was just from the idea of a magazine rack, and really the idea of a bunch of different publications. So when you put it together, you get Muck.
Yep. And that's wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Mike and the entire Muck team. And we want to thank our director behind the scenes here, Stefan, for all his hard work in making this possible, and to your team for doing all that great work as well.
Yep, thank you. Yeah, this would not have been possible without you guys. So really, really excited for the world to see this.
All right, let's say bye. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.